to an interesting story here. The introduction of new competitive sports on the international stage has been at the core of revolutionizing the sports world in recent times. Skateboarding is one area that has experienced meteoric rise, having been introduced as a competitive sport at the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo. At the forefront of the rise in the sport in Africa is South African Olympic skateboarder and Olympian Brandon. Our reporter Hilary Anikea caught up with him during his trip to Nairobi and now tells us why skateboarding is on a steady rise.
At just 24 years, South African skateboard star Brandon has dominated competitions throughout the continent and is now showcasing South African skateboarding to the world. I caught up with him during his visit to Kenya, courtesy of Red Bull Kenya, and so to find out how his journey began.
At first it was almost challenging because you don't see a future in it, because nobody was really doing this on a level that they could make it their career. So my parents were always like, you're really good at like traditional sports, the cricket, the soccer, the rugby, where they could almost see a future in what we're doing, you know, and a career out of it. But slowly but surely I started earning some respect from my parents and they started understanding like what I do. And now my family is super supportive.
For a sport that has not been competitive until recently, what does a typical training day for a skateboarder look like?
But if I'm in my training mode and I have a contest coming up, then it would look like gym in the morning, you'll wake up first, eat some breakfast, but not really a proper breakfast. I'd have like a protein smoothie, some snacks, you know, because I don't like to feel full when you're working out, and just building up that strength and working on mobility to avoid the injuries. And then from there you go out and you skate with your homies. You go probably an hour and a half is like the most intense session that you can skate at the highest level. Then you need to take a break.
Basketball legend Michael Jordan once said that talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships. Even though skateboarding is an individual sport, like every other sport, there is an abundance of team spirit.
In football, you're playing against everyone else, but if the opposing team scores against your team, you're not going to celebrate. But in skateboarding, it's such a supportive environment that you're celebrating for your competitors, because we know how much hard work goes into the craft, you know, and how hard we have to practice behind the scenes, so that when we go out there and we compete on an international stage and we land the trick in that moment, it's like the pressure's there and we almost have respect for each other, knowing how hard the sport actually is.
After representing Africa at the Olympics, arguably his biggest achievement so far, what is Brandon's outlook of the skateboarding scene in Africa?
The similarity is that we have lots of talented skaters, and obviously you need some talent to be able to perform on this level. But the only challenge for us in Africa is the facilities, you know, and also the equipment that we need. It's a lot of risk, there's a lot of danger in what we do, but at the same time it's like you're always pushing yourself and getting out of your comfort zone.
Just in case you're contemplating jumping onto a skateboard the next time you go out, here are a few tips from a pro skateboarder.
You have your left foot forward over here and your right foot at the back. That's my regular stance. And then you go to the nose of the board and you have your left foot on the nose and your right foot at the back. That's called nollie. Then you have to learn how to switch your shoulders the complete other direction and have your right foot in front and your left foot at the back moving in that direction. And for me, that's called switch. And then you also have to go to the nose of your board when you're skating switch, and that's called fakie. So there's almost 4 different ways to learn the same trick.
Hilary Anikea, NTV Sports, Nairobi.